All right. Hello, everyone. How we doing? Are we doing good this evening? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson, and I will be bringing you tonight's top weather stories, tonight's top vibe stories, if you will. Let's see, the camera's in a weird angle. Yeah, that might be close to right. Okay, let's go ahead and share my screen so that we can start talking about volcanoes. Let me go ahead and pull that up. There we go. Delightful. Okay. Now I want that one, and then there we go. All right. So y'all can see my beautiful face. You can also see the beautiful work of volcanodiscovery.com. Let's go ahead and take a look at volcanoes today. Finally, a targeted ad that's correct. Yes, I do want ads for hair dye. All right. Everybody should be. I will do this later, but everybody should be supporting this this website because they're great. They do great work. Ooh, here's a beautiful image of Lewitobi. That's the Laki Laki crater that is currently erupting. Gorgeous view of the eruption and the night sky in the background. Let's see. We've got continuing explosive activity at Mount Ibu. Lewitobi elevated explosive eruption at the volcano persists. Near frequent Vulcanian-type explosions produce gray ash-laden plumes that reach 10,000 feet in altitude, drifting west-southwest. 10,000 feet, that's pretty high. Seismic signal with a max amplitude of 47.3 millimeters and a duration of 472 seconds this morning. Meanwhile, due to elevated activity during the past week, alert level was raised to 3. All right. And then we have continued activity at Samiru. That is this image right here. That's Samiru volcano. Continuing its volcanic ash up to flight level 150. Tucono continues to explode, as does Fuego. And we got an image of Fuego right here going off as well. Let's see. We got an update from Rearcast today. The lava flow field since May 5th. That is an interesting image. You can see it just really swallowing up all the area. This right here, you see the exclusion. It's not an exclusion zone. Exclusion zone feels like, never mind. This is where the retaining walls are surrounding the Svartsengi area, the power plant, the geothermal power plant, and the Blue Lagoon. You can see the retaining wall right here doing its job of keeping all that lava on the other side. However, it is building up. The eruption continues from the main crater at stable levels. Constant incandescent plastic and fresh lava clots. Y'all know I hate that word. It's just nasty. It sounds like blood clots. Known as spattering, continue to be thrown out of the edifice, feeding the active lava flows. As the eruption goes on, the crater vent widens by erosion with time, producing lava flow fields rather than vigorous fountaining as the initial phase of activity. The lava flow is headed towards the northwest, becoming the main branch at this time. A few days ago, the lava flow crossed and engulfed the main road. So here's our active crater right here. And this is a beautiful image that they've got put together. We're really going towards the northwest more, which is good because, I don't know. It's kind of good. It's interesting interesting that this is fountain. It's not fountaining as much anymore. We're really looking at like a slurry, like kind of a bleh, like a, technical terms. It's more of a bleh than a technical terms there. Mount Merapi also continues its volcanic ash explosions. Yeah, everybody looks to be continuing as we've talked about before. Let's go ahead and switch it up and go to our earthquakes now. Love to go to Earthquake 3D. Love that none of y'all are here yet. That's okay. You'll come in eventually. Let's see. What have we got going on today? I guess we'll start in the Western Pacific. We've got a 4.7 at 62 kilometers depth right here, just right off the coast of Japan. I mean, that's basically on the shoreline, but a pretty deep one. We also had a matching 4.6 at similar. Oh, this is an extremely deep one. This is at 455 kilometers depth out here on the Marianas Trench, right at the peak. Almost at the peak of the inflection point of the curve of the shape. That's an interesting one. New deep quakes on the Marianas Trench. Let's look down here at where we usually expect to see our deep quakes. Here we go in New Zealand area. We've got a 4.3 at 249 kilometers depth. That's like half as deep as what we saw at Marianas Trench area. And then again, another one half as deep, a 4.5 here in the Vanuatu Islands region. Then as we stretch over into Papua New Guinea, we've got, again, a lot of deep quakes. Let me turn off depth exaggeration. And let me zoom out and we'll show it depth exaggeration back on. These quakes are very, very deep. We usually only see a handful, or we only see like one or two beyond 100 kilometers depth, but we are seeing a lot of deep quaking right now. That makes sense to me philosophically, if you think about all the geomagnetic activity that we've had in the past week. It takes a long time for the Earth to respond to it, but it is a big, the geomagnet of the Earth is very active in response to incoming solar radiation. Got a 5.8 here in the, let's see, which island are we near? Near Philippines. I mean, what is that island's name? Kepulauan Talud. This is like south of the main islands in the Philippines. That's a pretty significant one. 4.5 and 4.9 right next to it. And I know that you guys don't see my depths as I'm clicking on screen. I'm supposed to say it with you. 4.9 at 60 kilometers depth and a 4.5 at 92 kilometers depth. Geez, we're really getting deep out here. I mean, look at how far off my depth exaggeration has to be to show. Look how far out I have to zoom in. We are really getting some deep ones here. I expect that energy to spread throughout the globe. We've got 4.9 at 10 kilometers depth there in the hills of the Himalayas in China. We've got a 4.5 at 10 kilometers depth. Again, this Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea border plate boundary has been pretty active lately. And then to make sense of this Greek island area. Okay, we got another big one of 4.8 and some threes here off of Crete. Again, ever since I turned on the Euro feed, I realized how much of a hotspot Greece is. But yesterday they had a really big one, and I haven't seen any news articles about it, which is interesting. let's see, as we continue along, wait, did I get everything over here? Yeah, it's just a lot of deep quakes. Very shocking amount of, no pun intended, shocking amount of deep quakes. Let's see, as we go across the Atlantic, nothing on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge today, but we do see here in South America, 117 kilometer depth, 4.3, 4.5, and a 4.1 here down in Chile. And let's see, as we move up to the Puerto Rico Trench, we got continued activity, a 1.3 up here in New England. That's in, let me turn on borders. Borders are fake, but right here in is that Rhode Island? No, it's almost, it's, I can't tell, near Rhode Island. Then we had our regular handful of nominal quakes here in Oklahoma. Normal amount of quakes in West Texas. And by normal, I mean it's weird, but we're used to seeing it. A lot going on in Mexico right now also. Let's see, this 5.7 out here on the East Pacific Rise is 10 kilometers depth. We got normal amount of noise in, well, actually, we've been seeing a consistent trend of three mid-range threes. A 4.9 here in southern Mexico. Then we get to this clusterfuck. I'm going to turn the quake rings down, maybe turn it up to 2s and over. Our most recent one stuck around. The most recent one that we just heard the bell tick for was this M0.6 at 3 kilometers depth here in Southern California. We've got a lot of quakes making their way through. Remember, the energy comes in through this way and goes throughout the states that way. That's a decent number of 2s, but nothing shocking. I'll have to turn these back on. As we get into Alaska, let's see if any of these are deep. No, not any deep ones to speak of up here in Alaska. That's pretty, I mean, they look deep because depth exaggeration goes by local depth exaggeration on this. We did have a 3.9 here on the Aleutian Islands. I guess that's pretty exciting. Oh, that one was pretty deep at 154 kilometers depth. But then again, we haven't seen any of those double stacks of a shallow surface quake with a deep quake. I guess let me turn on, I'll show you the sheer number of teeny tiny quakes around everything. Looks like we had a lot of aftershocks around the area where we had that 3.9. And then, yeah, Hawaii getting in on the above 2.5 action, but again, not much to speak of. Big headline here is a lot of deep quakes in the Western Pacific today. Really cool. Let's move on to talking about our atmospheric weather. Okay, there we go. So, big news for the atmosphere is that we are looking at torrential rain in Florida. This is your reminder. Oh, they just took the mesoscale discussion off, but I think that's because I will actually wait for 250 frames to load because this is a significant amount of rain. This is your reminder that there doesn't have to be a hurricane to flood Miami. Okay, there is a massive amount of rain, and it's kind of just a normal amount of rain for Florida in the summer. But they're getting flooding as if there's a hurricane. At least we don't have the huge winds to deal with, and the storm surge probably isn't as bad as it could be. We do have a special marine warning out here, but look at all of this heavy rain. This is the type of rain and the speed at which it moves through the area that you would expect with a hurricane. Just because we haven't had any tropical storms, that doesn't mean that we won't see tropical weather. This is, again, where this low right here is what they were calling Invest Area 90L. But so far, even though it didn't organize into a larger storm, it is still a nasty sight out there. We've got some really terrible flooding going on in South Florida, as well as some isolated storms throughout the entire peninsula. But really, South Florida is getting walloped right now. Let's see. Up here in Iowa, we do have more spicy weather going on. We have a severe thunderstorm watch, and I can't click on the mesoscale discussion, but I bet it's for a severe thing that popped up right over Omaha. Unfortunately, looks like it was its most severe as it passed over Omaha and then just went away to nothing. That is sad news for that area. Hope everybody was okay there. We were looking at severe thunderstorm watch. That looks like it's capable of producing a lot of hail. You see the mixing of two streams going on there, and right as it gets over Omaha, really maxes out and peters out as it gets to the less populated areas. Very unfortunate there. But that's just a little pop-up cell. We've got a larger system with the same amount of energy just spread out over a larger area as we get into Wisconsin. And there's really over Minnesota, this low is trying its hardest. We've got a ridge down here, and it's trying to trough. The upper levels are trying to trough over here. We've just got a lot more zonal flow right now than you would want to form a good storm. This guy just isn't able to get the lift it needs. So this is stalling out frontal system, really hanging out and spurring a lot of convection along the frontal line. Yeah. So we got some nasty storms going on there. Looking over to the west, it looks like we've got some offshore convection, and actually some weird over here where we got high pressure setting in. We still see some storms developing, heading over towards Salt Lake City. Again, the areas where we see earthquakes. Let's not forget Houston and Corpus Christi are also getting in on the severe weather tonight. Really isolated small cells that don't look like they have the capability to produce a whole lot, but still an annoying amount of rain and severe weather for an area that's already been hit really hard this year. We're also seeing New Mexico get in on the action today, rain-wise. But other than that, we are getting kind of a switch up where the East Coast has been, let me switch over to showing temperature. We have been cooler than usual in the East Coast area and in the eastern half of the United States. But that's about to switch up. We're about to get the heat wave. This heat dome that has been set up over the west is going to switch over here. And in turn, it's going to kind of seesaw, and there will be another good swig of cool air right behind that heat dome. That's what's pushing it out of the way. So expect, if you've been having mild temperatures, expect real summer to come soon. And if you've been experiencing a heat wave, expect a little bit of relief soon. All right, let's go to looking at our global weather. Oh, right. I wanted to show y'all the 1 in 1,000-year flood. Now, 1,000-year flood is a statistical term. It doesn't really mean it never happens in 1,000 years, but yeah, this is a 1,000-year flood. This isn't even a full moon. Coastal areas in Sarasota saw almost 10 inches of rain. And we're going to continue to see that. Just because this didn't develop into a hurricane doesn't mean it's not going to be just devastating amounts of liquid. Let's see. The flooding comes after months-long drought, which is also very bad for absorbing the water. You don't want a bunch of water dumped on somewhere that's been dry for a long time. Yeah. So basically this Swiss cheese of Florida is getting a lot of water dumped on top of it, and there's nowhere for it to go but down, and it's going to drag a little bit of the land down with it. I'm sorry to say, there's probably going to be some sinkholes, probably going to be a lot of road damage. This is just something typical that we're going to see as the climate continues to act in ways that it has not acted before. Places that we're used to, oh, this only happens once in 1,000 years, so we don't have to prepare for it. It's going to happen more like every 100 years. It's going to become 10-year, 100-year, and 1,000-year floods are statistical terms based on the average amount of rainfall seen since records were started to be kept in like 1859 or so. They're statistical numbers. They're not actually, we haven't seen this in 1,000 years. I think that 1,000-year and 100-year floods need to be recalculated based on climate models, but that involves a lot of insurance adjusters, and we're not really going to actually see that happen. Let's go look at our let's look at our derived winds. Let's look at something a little happier than thinking about devastating floods. You can see the devastating floods here. I mean, really, just nasty convection popping up here. But the rest of the country looking pretty clear for now, except for this little part of Iowa, that Omaha City area, that's gonna not be in a good situation. You can see what I was talking about. There's a lot of zonal winds, a lot of left to right winds. That's not really good for, it's not great for organizing a large scale system. But it is good for, I guess, keeping the highs in place. But you see a lot of crisscrossing at the lower level and upper level, having like there's a lot of wind shear off the Pacific coast. I don't know where I was going with that. I was just observing. Interesting. Where was I going with that? I don't know. I had a thought, and then there it went. Let's look at our global weather, though. I want to look at null Earth today. Let's see if it'll cooperate with me. Let's look at the misery index. Surprisingly, they don't have misery index very high in Florida, which they should. Misery index is pretty high for heat out here. They have two kinds, heat and cold misery, and we are pretty maxed out on the misery index here near Calcutta and Bangladesh. Unfortunately, the heat wave in India persists. There is not much relief coming in the way of rainstorms. I mean, look at this. There is finally a shift in the Arabian Sea circulation. Maybe we're going to finally see the cooling rains come and relieve people. It does look like temperatures are already falling in western coastal India. But up here in like the Uttar Pradesh region that has been really hard hit, or the Delhi region, still looking really hot as balls, honestly. Relative humidity is not helping. It's not drying out enough to help. There's a lot of precipitable water. It's just not precipitating. But okay, so there's an oscillation in this area where there's a meridional, like meridional meaning north to south. The winds are supposed to shift so that all of the tropical moisture flows onshore, and that's supposed to bring monsoon season. So that should be, hopefully this precipitation is going to bring some relief to the area. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't organize into a system, and it just gets really hot and humid at the same time. We can only hope that everybody is, I don't know, able to survive until the rains come. Again, let's look at dust extinction over the Atlantic, because this is where we're really getting our, like, what should be popping off as a pretty hoppin' tropical system season is really, we've got like the lid on it. This is acting like one of those sun shields you put in your car window. It's just not able to convect properly. Let's look at our currents. Or am I going to be able to see? Sometimes they don't let me see. Okay, these are our sea surface temperature anomalies. So this isn't just sea surface temperature. This is anomalies. So this is how much hotter it is than it usually is. And this is not even soupy bathwater. This is just boiling soup right now. This should be an amazing ocean to create tropical systems in. Unfortunately, we've just got a lid on it. We're not getting enough solar radiation down to the sea surface in order to get these hot, volatile waters spun up into a big system. Now, I'm saying that as if it's a sad thing. It's not necessarily sad to not have devastating hurricanes headed towards us, but the longer this system goes without a release in the form of a big tropical depression or something, the more and more fuel there is for the next one. Meaning, if we don't have some little tropical systems that go out to sea and become fish storms, the big one gets more and more likely to happen. So that's why I look at this and am a little uneasy, because look at these sea surface temperatures. We're ready. The Gulf of Mexico is so piping hot. This is like 86 degrees. The water is 86. This is bath water. Okay. I mean, it doesn't feel like bath water if it's 115 on the shore, but the water itself is 88 degrees. That is bonkers hot. That is dangerous for a lot of marine life, and it's not, I don't see this going well for our tropical season. I see this really causing problems in our models, and I see this as we're probably not going to be able to predict as well as we should be able to the next large tropical system. I know everybody's calling for a big hurricane season, but I have a feeling this is going to be another one of those where it's like, oh, I didn't hear about this storm until 2 days ago, and now it's making landfall. Like, we're not going to be treated to the luxury of time of having 2 weeks to prepare. This is going to be kind of a rapid response, and it's really going to put our emergency management systems through the ringer. So Everybody stay weather aware. Watch the weather as much as you can. Okay, that's delightful. A delightful little segment. Hello, Kale. Hello, everybody in chat. Sorry to bring you into such a sad part of it. I was just looking at the sea surface temperatures and yeah, oh my gosh, that's why I was talking about sea surface temperatures and the what's happening in Florida is why I brought this up. Because it's bad. Let me go back to showing radar for a second. I'm on models. Let me go back to radar. So this is Invest 90L. It is doing some damage here in South Florida. 10 inches of rain have fallen in Sarasota. 10 inches of rain have fallen. And that is after Sarasota had a 25-inch deficit for they've been in drought for the past months. All I can say is the weather is weird and it's not going to get more normal anytime soon. This isn't even a full moon. And I'm not saying that in a woo-woo way. I'm saying literally, quite physically, a full moon makes floods worse in Florida because the tides come in higher during a full moon. If and when we have another torrential rainfall system like this, and it falls on a full moon, the reason that's a problem is because the drains have to go somewhere. The stormwater drains have to go to the ocean. And if the level of the ocean is higher, there is less of a gradient. How do I simplify that? The higher the ocean is, the slower the drains flow. So at least in this case, we're not at a full moon, and the drains can flow as fast as they possibly can, honestly, because we're in a waxing crescent phase. This is probably the best. This is the best the drain flow situation could get. And we're still seeing just massive flooding. This is not even a real tropical low. It's an invest area. In fact, let me go see if we've had any more flyovers. Let's go to no aircraft recon in the past 6 hours. Let's see if we've got any. I'm going to switch y'all over to looking at my screen with me. Oh, yeah. So you said all of a sudden Russia shows up and now there's huge storms. Yeah, that is funny timing. I'm not saying anything about that. I don't think there's anything I can say. It's a very interesting observation. That's all I'll say. Okay. Let's see if we can look at the loop. I was just saying that with the suppressed hurricane season we had last year, I brought up the sea surface temperatures because the Gulf is so ready to pop off with a storm. Any little disturbance in the area is probably going to easily cycle upwards and create convection. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, this area didn't get very well organized. So it's just kind of training in a nasty little, this isn't even a very good, you can't really see most of it, but it is training so that the areas that are getting rain are just going to keep getting rain. It's not moving. The source of the storms, the areas where they start convecting, are not moving. Let me go back to looking at local radar. Let's see if single site has a better. No, it's just a mess down there. It is a mess down there, and it's very hard to see. No, okay, I won't go back to radar. But let's take a look at our satellite imagery around Invest 90L. Are they going to have a better? No, it's the same cut. I don't like this cut. I think that we should have let's look at GOES Mesosector 12. There we go. That is a better view of it. Okay. So this is where the convection is, but on the actual low center of circulation is up here north of Tampa. It's a really lopsided layered cake right now. That's why it's not a very efficient storm. And that's unfortunately why it's probably going to hang around longer than it should. A disorganized storm doesn't have its shit together. It's a lot harder to move it when it doesn't have its shit together. Yeah, so unfortunately, everyone here in South Florida is going to keep getting rained on probably for the foreseeable future. I don't see an end to this. I don't see why these storms would be popping off right here. It's just it's the darndest thing. Is that all I could say? I don't think that I don't think it's the Russians. I don't think we need to worry about that. But I do think that our Gulf of Mexico moisture situation is really ready to fuel a storm. And with the lack of storms coming in from the Atlantic, any little perturbation is going to rapidly cycle into something nasty like this. Now, is it possible to change the weather? Sure. Absolutely, it is possible to spur a storm on, but you have to have the right ingredients in the place. Fortunately, for anybody who wants to change the weather, it is tropical storm season, so the ingredients are in place. Let's move to something a little lighter, because it is a little bit sad to think about the torrential rain that is going to probably continue in Florida for the time being. Globally, let's look at something that everybody is going through, which would be, let's take a look at our Schumann resonances. That is the global heartbeat of the Earth. We're going to look at the extremely low frequency sonogram. And again, we see another little signature past mode 4. That is, you missed, if you're just coming into the broadcast, you missed that in the earthquake update. The Western Pacific is full of a lot of deep, deep earthquakes right now. So that is probably, in my opinion, not scientific, but my opinion, is that is the effect of solar storms finally making their way to the center of the geoid, center of the Earth magnetic center. Anyway, pretty calm on the bands, although we do have these intermittent vertical stripes. Those are like the percussive rhythms. Remember that a horizontal stripe is like a one tone, and the vertical stripes of intensity across all frequencies are more like percussive, like a drum machine would look like on a sonogram. Like that yesterday, somebody said it looks like the sonogram of a baby. Yeah, it is. It's the sonogram of us, the Earth, as the baby. We are back down to average frequencies, even though it doesn't look like I don't know. We're back down to average frequencies. We're sitting right at 7.83 hertz for mode 1, which is where it should be. That's our average. Mode 4, and actually it's really interesting right here. Mode 4 seemed to peak right before a lead in a dip in mode 2. While mode 2 is rising, everything else seems to be leveling out. Very interesting. Let's see what our amplitudes said about that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there were a few power bursts that went more to mode 2 than to the other ones. All right. It's also been pretty clear weather in Tomsk, Grusha, where we're getting these observations from. So that's easy to, of course, it's going to be clear. Let's look at our magnetosphere. Ooh, and you can see Earth's radiation bands pretty clearly in our velocity cut today. Do you see this little like moire pattern around the Earth? In wind speeds, that is, I'm not going to say definitely, but in my opinion, that is a visual representation. That's a good showing of the lattice of radiation around the Earth. This is all part of what protects us from solar wind. This is also, it's so beautiful to watch. Like it really does look like the spinning of helixes around the Earth. But pretty calm solar wind speeds today. Our density seems to be pretty low around Earth right now, which is maybe why we can see our radiation belts pretty well. Let's take a look at our densities today. If they'll load. Yeah. We see a few bursts of dense. All right. Yeah, pretty calm Earth or space weather today coming towards the Earth. You can see that the pressure in the magnetosphere is really low. That doesn't mean even the higher pressure is finally dissipated. I'm surprised that. Yeah. I don't have anything to say about this. It's very weird. I usually can talk forever. Cat's got my tongue. Let's go to our solar weather. Let's go to Space Weather Live. There's a lot of things to say, and I'm not going to say any of them right now. I know that this is a show where I talk, but there are reasons I'm not supposed to say some stuff right now. Okay. Ooh, okay. It looks like we did have an upgrade in yesterday's late night coronal mass ejection. They initially had this one at a type 3 full halo. Looks like this is a type 4, which is definitely a full halo. And they don't want to let me load it. So cool. We still can't see it. Anyway, we did have 8 coronal mass ejections today. Some of them looked pretty fast. Let's see if... No, for some reason, they don't want to show me any imagery today. I don't know why. Maybe Space Weather Live has me blocked. I don't want to say that. It's just very slow today. Let's take a look at one of our faster ones. Maybe, nope. Can I even see the scatter plot? Nope. Okay, let's just look at our dashboard. Let's just look at our dashboard. Again, thanks to the people at Space Weather Live for providing this imagery for us. Wow, look at that sun. Gorgeous, beautiful spheres. Gorgeous swirls. That is a hot, active sun. I mean, we have got a large sunspot region rotating into view. We said goodbye to region 3697, formerly known as 3664, but we are getting some new big players rotating into view. That one is not past the limb yet, but will probably have a complex classification. I'm frozen. Can you guys still see me? A solar wind travels over 1 million miles per hour. Yes, it does. Let's see. Oh, I think I see Yoda on the right of the sun. I love seeing. Okay, I don't know why this doesn't even want to show me any imagery today. Let me try to go to. No, that's not even what I want to go to. Let's go to our Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Solar X-ray flux is pretty nominal. We had like one M-class flare today. Solar proton flux is up, though. Not really sure what is driving that, but we are sitting right below an S1 proton storm level. Let's see if this will show us some R193 angstroms viewer. Okay, that'll show us better. Finally. And you can see all these teeny tiny little, looks like acne spots. Those are little convective cells. And these are larger systems, macro scale systems. These are like the size of planets. These little tiny storms are the size of the Earth. Looks like maybe we have a dimming region. Maybe we have a coronal hole forming, possibly. Oh wait. Let's take a look at our LASCO imagery. Coronagraph. This is Mercury moving into behind the sun. And this is Venus emerging from the sun. Okay, there's the coronal mass ejection that we haven't been able to get good imagery from Space Weather Live of. But you can see it come in right there. There is the release of that coronal mass ejection. And I don't know how that doesn't hit us, honestly. I think even as it's on the far side, this is probably going to cause some sympathetic flaring that'll hit Earth. Don't know where our models are at on that. Let's see what WSA Enlil has to say about that. It just looks like some Parker spirals. Not much exciting. Not much exciting predicted. But again, I don't know why our proton flux is so high right now. But it is. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say we did get a radiation storm over North America the other day, but we don't have our total electron content. Interesting. Alrighty. You know, I'm just not gonna... We are rapidly approaching solar maximum, and if it's not solar maximum, if we're not even close to solar maximum, then good God, you know? What's solar maximum going to be like? As you look at the other, like, look right here at the, let's look at longer time scale. There is a larger trend of the maxima going up and down. And looks like we might be at an inflection point where we had the weakest solar maximum at solar cycle 24, and possibly solar cycle 25 will start us going back up again. But this is also very controversial science. I know. It looks like, we're in a R1 minor radio blackout currently. Yeah, I don't know why my Space Weather Live isn't working tonight. Let's just look at solar flares, see if it'll even show me this M that we had. It's M 1.12. Yeah. 72-hour max was our X 1.55 like 3 days ago. Hopefully we get more. I don't know. Something hinky's going on with those protons. I mean, these look like healthy sunspot regions right now. I mean, this is a very active looking sun. God, what do I even have to say about that? Let's move on. Let's go to the planetary weather. Again, I think this is connected by, I believe that sunspot cycles have a resonance with Jupiter, Saturn, outer planet cycles, and that the sun is the nexus of all of the gravitational influences of the heavenly bodies. But for now, we're just going to say vibe-wise astrology. It's a Mercury day. We started this broadcast during a Mercury hour. It's currently a moon hour. Mercury is conjunct the sun in Gemini right now, and Mercury is at home in Gemini. We will move towards that Mercury cazimi, which is the conjunction with the sun, in the coming days. We've also got currently 4 planets in Gemini. So Jupiter and Venus, the 2 benefics, are co-present with this Mercury cazimi, which is probably like the best possible way this could happen. But then again, we do have Mars in Taurus, really bringing the war planet, the action planet, the doing planet, the masculine sexual energy planet to the feminine, earthly, benefic ruled Taurus. I don't like that we are getting Mars inching ever closer to Uranus, but a Mars-Uranus conjunction always happens every Mars cycle. So this one, I just don't know how it's going to go for people. Seems a little dangerous. Energy seems tense out there. Of course, their conjunction later on is going to be sextile to Neptune and Saturn, which I also don't love. Moon is in Virgo right now. We are looking at an 11 degrees Virgo moon. Moon is about to make a conjunction to Black Moon Lilith. That is the apogee point. That is the point that astrologers look at, that astronomers would recognize as the apogee in the moon's cycle. So that is the physical furthest that the moon gets from the Earth during its orbit around the Earth. Currently, nothing's jumping out at me to be talked about right now, except for we are rapidly approaching that cazimi. Yeah. I do think that it's important to note that everything that happens in the planets is what you make of it. There are energies, like there's Saturn square the sun. I mean, Saturn squaring this cazimi is not optimal, but being co-present with the 2 benefics is probably the best you can remediate that as. I mean, like, it's co-present with Jupiter, which is traditionally the ruler of Pisces, so maybe things will be a little bit smoothed over through that. Though it's also sextiling Chiron in Aries. So there's going to be a little bit of a war feeling. I don't know, y'all. This might be the beginning of the weather wars. We might be actually living through the beginning of the weather wars. The water wars are the same thing as the weather wars, so it may have already begun a long time ago and people just don't notice it yet. That's all I have to say about that. Y'all want me to say so much. I know. I know you want me to say it. You want me to say that countries are fighting via the clouds. Well, that's not a very empowering thought. And more empowering thought is that we can also fight the countries via the clouds through us. We are great weather control systems. Our human bodies are. If you're aligned and attuned enough with the universe, you can really honestly do more than millions and millions of dollars worth of technology and infrastructure. That's what I think people don't get about. There's a little bit of lack of hope when it comes to the weather modification conversation. I think the lack of hope comes from people not realizing that they want to be a victim and they don't want to have agency in the process. But we all do have agency. We have any connection internally and spiritually and physically with the weather that we want to. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to feel like there's big power structures out there that, oh, little old me can't do anything about it. Yeah, you can. Remember yesterday's conversation? I was talking about chaos and the way that a little teeny tiny perturbation in a system can have a huge ripple effect. That's how jet engines work. That's how nuclear power works. Really, really tiny changes in initial conditions can resonate. And that is how the physical mechanism of a human controlling at least a little bit of weather works. So don't be afraid because there's money behind an industry. Don't be afraid of the weather. The weather loves you and the weather is you. So it's something that machines can't really comprehend. The human connection with weather. I think that is also the well, here comes the opinions now. That's also the source of quietude and calmness that I have about AI is there is so much about a physical body that teaches you about weather that a abstraction of human knowledge compiled into one form can't perceive or integrate. There's a lot on the subconscious level of experiencing life through a body that I'm not afraid of big tech because, man, the human body is such a great vessel for resistance. That's, I think, all I can say online about that, but it's again, kind of a waste of money. It's all kind of a big waste of money when you realize how much agency one person can have just by breathing and aligning their spirit. Whoa. Let me get into a universal reading in a second. I'm just going to play a little. That's what I have to say about that. Cryptic, okay, whatever. You can play the wind as easily as you can play an instrument if you just figure out what a body is for. All right. I think that's all I'm going to say about it tonight. Don't let people take your energy via fear narratives. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You're not trapped. You're not a victim unless you want to be. Don't feel trapped. You're not trapped because you're in a human body, and that is the most powerful vessel for travel and transmutation of timelines there is currently. And it's upgrading. The human body is upgrading. So get in tune with that. All right. Get in tune with the timeline where we're upgrading and not the one where you're a victim. All right. Let's get a little cosmic weather reading. All right, Tarot, what is the cosmic weather? What's the weather coming in from beyond the... All right. Got the Sun in reverse. The Sun is a card all about the expression of the self. This is kind of what I was talking about when I was talking about how you can control the weather yourself. Internal alignment with your higher self, with your soul, with the process of what goes on in the sun. Remember that there is an internal sun inside of you that you're supposed to be able to tap into. And this is actually the mechanism of how you can tap into your weather. There is an internal sun. There's also an internal moon and an internal cloud. The sun in reverse is sometimes indicating that maybe we're hiding it, but also indicating that there is work that needs to be done to bring it out. Maybe this is indicating some shadow work that needs to be done. A lot of the times when you are not shining your light, it's because you are afraid of the shadows being brought out in contrast to the light. If it's dark, you can't tell what's a shadow. But when you start to shine brighter, people can see your shadows easier. And that's a little scary. So we really need to integrate what's behind the wall, what is in our moon self. Again, internal alignment and clearing your energetic field is going to bring so much clarity to what I mean by no one controls the weather if you control your own internal weather. What's going on inside is a reflection of the outside. Also, be like this little child riding a pony. Let's go internal. Let's find our light. Perhaps that's what's coming in from the universe, is needing to get more in touch with our internal light and the cherubic, exuberant, leonine feeling that we have for life itself and the feeling of being incarnated into a physical body, into a human soul. Get with it. Remember why you chose to incarnate. Remember why you chose to be born. I know that's a hard lesson for some people. For me, for everyone. Eventually, like, why the fuck was I born? Oh yeah, I wanted this. Why would I choose this creation, this lifetime? Why would I choose these hardships? Don't know. You got to live it to figure it out. Oh, here we go. Snake medicine. This is also right on track. Your medicine, your incarnation into a person is part of your medicine that you bring to people, to this world. Individuation is necessary. Let's go. Snake medicine. The alchemy by which the poison may be used as the remedy, creating the immunity necessary to effectively navigate safely inside otherwise poisoned ecosystems. Life will adapt to and evolve from the most polluted and toxic environments. So, snake medicine, you need to use a little bit of the poison as the antidote. You may, in fact, be the poison / antidote to the world, to the problems. And you need to embody your sun and not be afraid to shine out to be that medicine in the world. It's really scary when you shoot, you give away your position. But you got to shoot your shot. You're incarnated in the world for a reason. You're supposed to be a specific type of medicine in this world that's really broken. You don't have to feel like a victim of this broken world. You, in fact, through the process of figuring out how to heal yourself, you are healing the world. Okay, beautiful card. Really, the poison is in the dose. The medicine is in the dose. All of that. All right, let's go. One more. Grateful little card. Remember, guys, I'm doing this because this is the way that you can tell the weather beyond what our scientific systems currently see as the scientific process. Using chaotic principles as my reasoning basis for why cartomancy is sometimes a good indicator of the vibe coming through. Remember, it's all weather all the way up and down. So, yeah. Let's see. What goes with snake medicine and the sun reversed? Nothing's popping out. Might have to select one. All right. Oh, and it's got the sun on it. This is a glorious time to be on this earth. And it's got a huge sun, somebody standing on top of a hill in the foreground. Says, you are extensions of source energy here in these magnificent physical bodies. The amazing diversity of your time-space reality provides the perfect balance from which to create and attract. There has never been a better time to be upon your planet. So, while there is torrential flooding, devastating drought, terrible, incomprehensible devastation going on, this is exactly the time you picked to be here for a reason. This is a glorious time to be on Earth. This is the inflection point of a timeline. This is the climax of the specific story you incarnated to be part of. I mean, these 3 cards, I don't feel like it gets much more clear than you obviously have to be on this earth right now with the gifts and burdens that you're given right now to do some magic. You living your life is doing some sort of magic that does ripple out and create massive change. So well, it's really hard to sometimes hold your own light. That's because you're not supposed to hold it in. You're supposed to let it shine and radiate outwards. You're supposed to let it fuel other people. This is a glorious time to be on this earth. It may be a little scary. It may be a little bit unknown, but this is a glorious time to be alive. This is the most important time to be aware of the weather. This is a glorious opportunity to see how shit works. This is a really good, technology-wise, historically, this is the best time to be incarnated if you are interested in the way that a physical body interacts with the weather. Oh, I have a question on the King of Swords card from yesterday. I noticed it has Texas-style palm trees on it. Why? That's really interesting. So the artwork for the Rider-Waite was actually made across the pond over in Europe, and anything that would have to do with the desert has to do with the Orient, and sometimes indicates an awareness of the mystical, an awareness of the longer lines of esoteric knowledge, the lineages that the people in the occult circles that created the Rider-Waite specific illustrations ran in, do tap into a line of passed down magic that comes from what we call the Middle East. So yeah, it's not as much Texas style palm trees as it is like Mediterranean references. But it is supposed to indicate a little bit of a connection to that I'm getting images of like pilgrimages or seekers of higher knowledge. Could also be an interesting observation about the weather going on in Texas right now. That's a very mundane interpretation of it. It's also supposed to indicate that the wind is not strong, because if you look at like the Knight of Swords, for example, there's terrible windstorms going on in the background. There's a lot of chaos in the atmosphere. And then once you get to the King of Swords, he's got his words together quite nicely in a way that the weather is finally calm. I also really love the illustration for the sun card. It's upside down today because that's how it came out. But I love how beautiful and joyous this is. Also, having the sunflowers is kind of a reference towards death because it comes at the end of the harvest season when they bloom. So it is a nod towards mortality, but that is also part and parcel of what it means to embody the sun in this mortal form, is that YOLO. You only live once, and you're supposed to burn as brightly as you can in this incarnation. I also have been thinking about the King of Swords a lot since last night. King of S words. King of words. There's something about choosing your words very carefully that has been sticking with me. And maybe that's why I don't want to say too much tonight, because there are a lot of words that people can use against you, and sometimes the most powerful part of having your words is not saying them. Thanks for saying I'm safe here, but I am patently not as nice. I know I'm safe with you guys, but this is the internet, and it's not just you guys who could see it. So, yeah, I don't think I've held anything back either. All I said, I mean, the most threatening thing I've said is that an aligned human soul in a human vessel is possibly more powerful than a military-industrial complex's relationship with manipulation of the weather. That's not something I can get sued over. It's something that might piss people off, but yeah, if you learn to control your internal weather, you in fact learn how to control your external weather. It's the weather we all live in. The atmosphere is the average of all of our souls. That sounds, if you're just tuning in, that sounds wild, but the weather that our emotions are, our internal weather. And if you have agency over that, you will be able to reflect agency over external weather. I know it sounds crazy, but and there's a lot of money put into manually controlling the weather for something that I feel like, for enough dabbling that the government's done in the astral plane, they should be able to figure out that it takes a really aligned soul to properly do weather modification. But I guess if you're trying to make a soulless being do it, then yeah, you have to pour thousands and millions of dollars into it. Oh well. Waste of money. That's all I have to say about it. It's a waste of money. Also, you don't have to feel like a victim. You have as much power as you give yourself. Especially when you realize that your mental state and emotional state is your internal weather, and weather inside reflects the weather outside. It's actually really hard to control people if they realize the power they have internally. So there's a lot of systems in place to keep people out of touch with their own power. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this is a glorious time to be on this earth. This is a glorious time to find your inner soul, your SOL and your SOUL. Find its power. Speak your truth. Show your truth. Live your truth. And you won't be able to be tied down, no matter where they put your physical body. If you know how to align your soul, you can do it anywhere. Pretty wild how powerful the weather is. Pretty wild how you're made of weather. All right. Well, I think that's enough of my truth for tonight. Y'all will have to come back tomorrow night to get more of it. It is a really glorious time to be on Earth if you have a corgi. Yeah, that's cute. I like how their little butts are the shape of hearts. It's cute. I've never had a corgi, but I do admire them. They're cute. Okay. I think that's all of my medicine that we need to talk about tonight. My medicine is trying to encourage y'all to get in touch with your own. Get in touch with your shadow selves. What's your trauma? That's actually your magic wand. Oh. Okay. Thanks, y'all, for being here. I love you all so very much. I'm so grateful for you. I hope I see you tomorrow night. Join me around 11 o'clock every evening on Twitch, YouTube, and still on Twitter, technically. At Cloud Hudson, whoa, it's cloudy, whatever. This has been another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Don't be a victim. Stand in your truth and stand in your own light. You'll be amazed at how powerful you can be. All right. Love you. Have a good night. Bye.